नानाख्यानककेसरं हरिकथा सम्बोधनाबोधितम् लोके सज्जनषट्पदैरहरः हे पीयमानं मुदा भूयाद्भारतपङ्कजं कविमलप्रध्वंसि नः श्रेयसे मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम् यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तं न विदुः सुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः देवाय तस्मै नमः। अथ तृतीयोऽध्यायः। सञ्जय उवाच तं तथा कृपयाविष्टम् अश्रुपूर्णाकुलेक्षणं विषीदन्तमिदं वाक्यम् उवाच मधुसूदनः। श्रीभगवानुवाच कुतस्त्वाकश्मलमिदं विषमे समुपस्थितम् अनार्यजुष्टमस्वर्ग्यम् अकीर्तिकरमर्जुन क्लैर्यमास्मकमः पार्थ नैतत्त्वय्युपपद्यते क्षुद्रं हृदय दौर्बल्यं त्यक्तोत्तिष्ठ परन्तप। अर्जुन उवाच कथं भीष्ममहं सङ्ख्ये द्रोणं च मधुसूदन ईशुनिः प्रतियोत्स्यामि पूजार्हामरिसूदन कुरु न हत्वा हि महानुभावान् श्रेयो भोक्तुं भैक्ष्यमपीह लोके हत्वार्थकामांस्तु गुरूनिहैव भुञ्जीय भोगान् रुधिरप्रदिग्धान् न चैतद्विमः कतरन्नो गरीयः यद्वा जयेम यदि वा नो जयेयुः यानेव हत्वा न जिजीविषामः देव स्थिताः प्रमुखे राष्ट्राः कार्पण्यदोषोपहतः स्वभावः पृच्छामि त्वां धर्मसम्मूढचेताः यच्छ्रेयस्यान्निश्चितं ब्रूहि तन्मे शिष्यस्तेऽहं शाधिमां त्वां प्रपन्नम् न हि प्रपश्यामि ममापनुद्यात् यच्छोकमुच्चोषणमिन्द्रियाणाम् अवाप्य भूमावसपत्नं ऋषिकेशम् गुडाकेशः परन्तपः न योत्स्य इति गोविन्दम् उक्त्वा तूष्णीं बभूवः तमुवाच ऋषिकेशः प्रहसन्निव भारत सेनयोरुभयोर्मध्ये विषीदन्तमिदं वचः श्रीभगवानुवाच अशोच्यानन्वशोचस्त्वम् प्रज्ञावादांश्च भाषसे गतासु न गतासूंश्च नानुशोचन्ति पण्डिताः.
Oh, now it is late. ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै. ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. So, by a very strange stroke of irony, the whole thing about the two problems with doing. What were the two problems with doing? With action? You know? No, one is that most of the time people don't do what they have to do. That is the first problem. And second, the problem is the few that end up doing what they have to do it with such, grumbling. And they are so upset at doing it because they have this feeling of doership, that I am the doer. They get caught in it. They are not able to enjoy the action because they are just so stressed out. Correct? Sahankara, and then phalabhi kankshi, phalabhi sandhi Purvakaha janaha. Abhipurvakaha janaha phalabhisandhi means what? Always looking to the result. What next? What next? What am I going to get out of it? When are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we done yet? These are the two problems, and both of them lead to what? Moha and Shoka. The one wants to give up doing, but not to sit quietly and look at the self, but wants to do what someone else is doing. Paradharma. Yeah, Swadharma if you leave, what other dharma is there for you? Paradharma. That's what. And the second one, the person is not fight or flight. The person continues to stay in doing what they are doing, but they are attacked by doership. And then they say, this doesn't feel too good, what to do? And they are grumbling, mumbling all the time. So the problem with doing is called samsara, which is one's undoing. And this is what janma, jara, sukha, dukkhadi, lakshanam. This samsara has the characteristics of birth, death, and all kinds of problems therein. And this samsara is not gone, anuparatihi, na nivrittihi. What was it? Yeah. Samsara bija bhutau shokamohau Na nivrittihi. It is not banished by any means whatsoever. What? Cannot be banished. Samsara cannot be banished by any means. No, no, no. Samsara cannot be banished by any action whatsoever. So what to do? Take sannyasa from action. Oh, but isn't that what Arjuna wanted to do? Well, he wanted to not do just that. He wanted to take up another lifestyle, which is a different thing. And so, leave the action behind. In other words, learn to use the time that you are doing, in the time that you are acting, to use it to gain the self-knowledge which frees. So it's not that you give up action as a protest because you don't like what you're doing. It's not you give up action because it's in style. For 3 years, orange was the most favorite color of everyone. Every year they sit down and they decide what should be the color of the season. Yeah. Orange was the reigning favorite. You saw so many sadhus on the catwalks. Yes. Everybody head to toe they would be dressed in orange. Yeah. So therefore, so this is not because you don't take on some dharma because it's trendy, it's trending. It's not because of that. And it's not with the spare time that I have when I have been relieved of my action, I go to sleep promptly. That's not it either. So samsara nivritti is through what? Not through the perfect doing of your action, but through self-knowledge. Na anyathaha, not by any other means. And so, in order to teach this most sacred Atmajnanam, what did Bhagavan do? Taught whom? Arjuna. Yo, Arjuna, come here. and taught him, making him the medium to receive this knowledge. He taught everyone else. Okay? Yeah. Then, and how did he teach? Ashocyananvashocastvam ityadina. That's where we stop. Okay? Further, now it's heating up. Adi Shankara's quill warmed up at this point. You can, because he gets into some interesting things. Tatra kechidahuhu sarva karma sannyasa purvakat atmajnana nishtha matrad eva kevalat kaivalyam na prapyate eva kim tarhi agnihotradi shrautaka smarta karma sahitat jnanat kaivalya praptihi iti sarvatu sugitasu nischitah arthah iti. Tatra, in this context, tatra means don't look where, tatra means here, doesn't mean there. Tatra is just a way of expression. Kechit ahuhu, some people say. What do they say? Very interesting what they say. Sarva karma sannyasa purvakat atmajnana nishtha matrat. So atmajnana, the argument is this. Atmajnanat eva kaivalyam na prapyate. That is the main sentence to which other things have been embellished. Atmajnana matrad eva, only by atmajnanam. What is atmajnanam? Self-knowledge. Only by self-knowledge, kaivalyam, this oneness is not gained. Na prapyate. Only by self-knowledge. And then now all that has been embellished by something. What kind of atmajnana? An atmajnana, that is a nishtha. Nishtha means a commitment. So a committed pursuit of self-knowledge alone does not lead to liberation. Who is saying? The Purva Pakshi, okay? Yeah. Adi Shankara is not saying that. That's why he said, Kechit, some unmentionables, why should we remember their last name, said this. Some people have said this. Kechit ahuhu. Some fellows who didn't have any better work say this. And what do they say? that Atma Jnana Matrat Kevala Nishthayaha Kevalat, just out of a committed pursuit of self-knowledge, liberation is not reached. How are they saying that? And what kind of, one more thing, Atma Jnana, another thing is qualified. So, another word, Sarva Karma Sannyasa Purvakat. Yeah. And Atma Jnana Nishtha means a commitment to self-knowledge, a committed pursuit of self-knowledge that is backed up by, or rather that which is preceded by, not even backed up means it's behind, that which is preceded by giving up of all actions. Really speaking, when you are, learning this knowledge, in order for it to be effective, one has to, just let go of a lot of things. Yeah. Let go of things that don't matter. Yeah. What matters? Nothing matters. Yeah. Except the grey matter, which we have to, protect. Nothing else matters. Grey matter matters because you have some, what is it? Grahana Shakti, Medha Shakti, should all be there. But otherwise, that's why we chant the Medha Suktam in sleep, so that this always comes. So some people who have plenty of time on their hands say, what do they say? That only a commitment to self-knowledge that is preceded by giving up all kinds of extraneous actions is not enough to produce liberation or to reach you to moksha. Kechit ahuhu. And then, of course, that's not all that they say. They have more things to say. The collective they, the collective, the ubiquitous they have more things to say. Not being satisfied with what this outrageous claim that they have made, they back it up by saying that is why we have sentences in the Gita where Arjuna is told by none other than Bhagavan, please get up and fight. Tasmad yuddhaya yujyasva yogah karmasu kaushalam. This is what he has told. Get up, pick up your bow. Are you hard of hearing? Shall we take you to a, ENT specialist? What has happened to you? Didn't I tell you in the last chapter, pick up your bow, get up, fight. These are all they are all in lot. What is lot? Imperative mood. Imperative mood. Imperative mood means what? It's a mood that does not, I'm not in the mood for any hanky-panky from you. That's what is called imperative mood. Don't try to, argue with me. I'm not in the mood. That mood is called imperative mood. I'm not going to listen to you. You just have to do as I say right now. So, and all of them are in the imperative mood. Tasmad yuddhaya yujyasva. All these things. Please get up. Please fight. Do this. So, this kechit people, kechit means some people. Ahuhu means argue who. And so some people say that self-knowledge alone is not enough for liberation. And what does it need then? If it's not alone enough for liberation, it means that we are going towards that self-knowledge plus something else is needed for liberation. And what is that plus? Action. Yeah. Self-knowledge plus action is equal to liberation. And then what? And they say, tarhi, kim tarhi, what more, what to talk of? Agnihotradi Shrauta Smarta Karma Sahitat. So just like this, Agnihotra and other Shrauta Karmas, Shrauta means Shrutehe Bhavam Shrautam. So that which is born of the Shruti. All the Shruti is what? Hello? Vedas. Abba, thank God. So, yes, Shruti means Veda, that which is heard. So, Karmas, Agnihotra, all these fire rituals born of the, what is that? Born of the Shruti, smarta. Smarta means, secondary karmas that are recommended by the Smritis. Smarta, born of Smritis. Smritis means people who have iterated the Veda again in their own language, and like Adi Shankara also did. He told people, please don't do yajnas because you don't have the time and you don't know how, and it's a whole waste of ghee and time. And he said, please do this panchayatana puja. And so he just gave each of them five stones. One is Lakshmi, one is Ganapati, one is Shiva, Parvati, like this, or Vishnu. Everything was there on a plate, and you do abhisheka for all of them. And you are chanting the Vedic mantras the same as you would do for Agnihotra, etc. But then you are doing this other kind of puja. This was probably the precursor to all kinds of iconography, etc., which is needed in the Kali Yuga, because the concentration is not there just with the fire rituals. You need something to fix the mind, And so Adi Shankara himself set in place a lot of smarta karmas from the various smritis, Yagyavalkya Smriti, etc. So the two kinds of karmas, whether they are, what are they? The yajnas, etc. or pujas. Shrauta karma, yajna, agnihotradi, smarta karma, all different kinds of puja. Sahitat means along with, jnanat, along with the knowledge. When you do the yajna, one yajna for breakfast, one yajna for lunch, in between the classes. You quickly now, 5 o'clock this finishes, and 6 o'clock what is there?
No, I thought you were.
So 5 o'clock this finishes, 6 o'clock is what? Shvetashvatara. So 5 to 5:45 is what? Agnihotra. So you do one yajna in between the classes, and then come for the classes, and you see how effective the classes are going to be. The classes are going to speak before I start speaking, and before the teacher starts speaking, everything is going to become clear, because you're doing it finally the right way, as Bhagavan intended. I'm not saying that, neither is Adi Shankara. Who is this? Kechit. Yeah, some fellow somewhere. Okay? And this is actually a very popular rendition of the Bhagavad Gita in India. They say it's a Karma Shastra. Karma Shastra or Korma Shastra, how to make Korma, it is teaching. Or how to do things properly, it is teaching. How to do, it is teaching. And do, and you have to do it nicely. And you have to do it after dedicating the results to Bhagavan. If you don't dedicate the results to, and the action first of all has to be done in Bhagavan's name. I am not doing it, you are helping me do it. I am not the doer. Then if you just say I am not the doer, it's not enough. Then you have dissociation. Then you look around, who is doing? Yes. So when you say I am not the doer, you have to bring in Bhagavan, no matter how busy he is, catch him and say, no, you have to witness this doing, and you are the doer. You are the one that is doing, and I'm just an excuse, nimitta. I'm just the medium of your doership. The doership belongs to you. If the doership belongs to Bhagavan, who do the fruits of the action belong to? Bhagavan. It's just logical. So then, first I dedicate the doership. Then this is what it means by resting in the awareness of Ishvara, where all the stress goes. Because you see, the stress of doership makes you tired and have illnesses. That's what it does, makes you sick. Because you feel I'm doing, I have to be stressed, I have to do this, I have to do that, do. And you get into a to-do about what you have to do. And therefore what? Therefore this has to be remedied immediately. So you catch hold of a departing Bhagavan and say, no, I'm not done with you, come back. Hey, you come back, don't go anywhere. And then you say, my action is dedicated to you, a flower at your feet. You say, this is no longer my action, I have given it to you. And then the results that come are certainly not yours if the action was never yours. Correct? And so, this much they understand. some people, Kechit in India, some people understand this much. And then what do? They say that the whole Bhagavad Gita is about this only. Little bit of knowledge here, like a chutney, Yeah. You have all the other things. And this chutney is a condiment. What is the word for condiment in Sanskrit? Yeah. What is it? Upasejanam. Yeah. Upa plus sich plus lut. Sich means to sprinkle. Upa, near. You sprinkle near what? You just sprinkle it because it's so hot. These chutneys and other condiments, you can only do little sprinkling of it. It is near the food. So upasejanam, it helps the food to go down easily because you have all these condiments. So the condiment is not only eaten, correct? Yeah. You can't say, when you go to an Indian restaurant, you can't say, I don't want the idli, just bring me the chutney. They will look at you as like, which madhouse have they let you out of? This concept is not there. And then similarly, you cannot go to any restaurant in this country and say, forget the salad, just bring me the dressing. Upasejanam is dressing. It goes along with the salad. Upasejanam. Upa plus sich plus lut. Anam. And so, upasejanam. And so this is a dressing that goes with the salad. So the knowledge, najayate mriyate va kadachit, neither the Atma dies nor it is born, and then vasamsi jirnani yatha vihaya, just as the old clothes are thrown away by the human being, so too the Atma keeps changing bodies. Things like this are upasejanam. You just go, nice. But the main dish that the Gita dishes out is a primer on action. Kechidahu. Don't take this seriously. This is the opponent that is saying that, which Adi Shankara is summarizing. That so the knowledge is a little nice. It's a nice break from the monotone of action. It's nice to hear that the Atma never really dies, never really is born. The Atma is like the tatters on the body when the clothes are old and they have to be discarded. So you discard the body like a cloth. And then what? Don't think you can iron it and wear it again, because this is really done. It's past the point of ironing. For ironing out, you go to Florida, to all the plastic surgeons. And but this is past the point of ironing, Only thing you can do with that body is embalm it. That's all. Nothing else you can do. And then, the Atma gets into another body. And so nothing dies, nothing is born. You are here forever. Upasejanam. This is a condiment. This is a little chutney tone coming in the nuanced meal, which is the Bhagavad Gita. The meal, the meal of the Gita is all about how to act responsibly, how to never run away from your action, how to be tethered to the action without really being an actor, and how to take the fruits of the action that come with equanimity. But then this little other thing is, Atma is not born, Atma doesn't die, you are the whole. All this is a little break. Now back to work, back to action after this. This is what most of the people, even in contemporary India now, they say that this is what the Gita is. They say, what is there to study in the Gita? This is what it says. So, and what is kind of either disheartening or comforting, you can decide, is that even in Adi Shankara's time, the same, whether to be disheartened by it or to be comforted by it, I am unsure. But the same problem in Adi Shankara's time, also people thought that, and when he says Kechit, he's not talking of a roadside person. Yeah. He's not talking of somebody, some, X, Y, Z on the road. He's talking of some scholarly interpretations. Kechidahuhu, some scholars of the Gita say this. And then in their defense, they say that, what do they say? They say Sarvasu Gitasu, in the whole Gita. Why plural? Sarvasu Gitasu. How many Gitas are there?
One. Referring to all the Vedas.
The different kinds of Gitas?
Huh?
Uddhava Gita, other Gitas?
Respect.
Ah.
Plural is used for respect.
Mm.
Yeah. Iti Srimad Bhagavad Gitasu Upanishatsu, for respect. It's not that there are many Gitas. Sarvasu Gitasu, don't say in all the Gitas. No. In the Gita, which is used plural for respect, because, she's a great lady. And so, Sarvasu Gitasu Nishchitartha iti. So they say that this is what, this is what is ascertained by the entire Gita. Jnapakancha ahuhu asya arthasya atha chetvam dharmam sangramam na karishyasi karmani eva adhikaraste kuru karmaiva tasmatvam ityadi. Jnapakam cha ahuhu. Furthermore, not being satisfied with all the wrong things they have said up till now, they go onward to buttress their arguments with what? With verses from the aforementioned Gita. And so they will select things out of context. And so what will they say? Select karmanyeva adhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. You only have, a say over your action, right? You have over your action, not, to the fruits thereof. So that means Bhagavan is talking of what? Action. So therefore action is talked about in the Bhagavad Gita. Don't you deny it. And then the second thing they quote is, Atha chet, if now you don't, dharmyam sangramam na karishyasi. If you don't fight this holy war, this is the exact translation they'll give, Hitva papam avapsyasi. You will incur a papa if you don't do your duty. Papa will come, bang, knocking on your door. And if you don't open the door and latch the door, it will come through the window. But Papa will come and get accredited to your account. And then one more, Kuru karmaivatvam tasmatvam. So please, be engaged in action all the time. This is what they say. Ityadina, this is what they say. And then furthermore, not being satisfied with this, they make one more argument. They say that if your karma, let's say that you have to be an executioner, somebody is an executioner, and they just have one action, correct? Yeah. Lie down, you make the person lie down and off with the head. Chop, chop, correct? Now this is a terrifying karma, and this should cause a lot of turmoil in the person's heart. And in fact, the executioner should have loads of papa. But does the executioner have papa? No. Why? Because he's just doing his job. Correct? So these Kechit people, these people also further say that you should not aver or deter from your action, from your duty now, that which you're supposed to do, for any reason. Especially the reason that Arjuna is giving. Why doesn't Arjuna want to fight the war? He doesn't want to kill his people. But it is his dharma to kill because he is a warrior. So that's not an excuse for him. And likewise, in some yajnas which are connected to optional karmas known as desire-based karmas, kamya karmas. So when you do kamya karma, there is Pashu Bali. What is Pashu Bali? Animal sacrifice. And so the same people who are, reading the mantra from the Veda, himsam na kuryat, satyam vada, dharmam chara, ahimsa paramo dharmaha, like this. Ahimsa paramo dharma, all this they are, reading or chanting, and at the same time cutting a goat, cutting a cow to sacrifice to the yajna. And why? Because this is an optional, it's not recommend, it's recommended, it's not needed. It is recommended that if you want this plus this plus this, a pumpkin is not enough. What you get out of sacrificing a pumpkin, if you want to pump up your chances to go to here, go there, go get this, get that, you get something with more life force. There are certain places which talk about Pashubali. And so therefore, if you are doing your duty, then you should not feel like you are causing himsa when you are doing Pashubali. When you are sacrificing an animal in the Agnihotra or whatever, yajna, or if you are fighting a war and sacrificing your own brother, sister, whatever it is, whoever is there, brother, uncle, guru, etc., it's all still the same. It cannot be called himsa, even if it is himsa, because it is recommended in the Veda that you do your duty, no matter how difficult. Then therefore, Arjuna should not run away because Bhagavan is telling him to do action. So this is what their argument is. Himsadi yuktatvat vaidikam karma adharmaya iti iyamapi adharmayeti iyamapi ashanka na karya katham kshatra karma yuddha lakshanam guru bhratra putradi himsa lakshanam atyanta kruramapi swadharmah iti kritva na adharmaya tad akarane cha तथा स्वधर्मं कीर्तिं च हित्वा पापम् अवाप्स्यसि इति ब्रुवता यावत् जीवादि श्रुतिचोदितानां पश्वादि हिंसा लक्षणां च कर्मणां प्राग् एव न अधर्मत्वम् इति सुनिश्चितम् उक्तं भवति इति. So they say that Arjuna has no cause to run away from battle. And that Bhagavan is not telling him, if he was to take sannyasa immediately in order to have jnana nishtha, in order to have the teaching, Bhagavan would encourage him to run away. But what is Bhagavan saying? No, come back and fight. No matter how difficult it is. I'm not going to go line by line because this is a little side argument, little bit. So just understand the crux of it, so that, even if it's a little bit horrifying, what to say, a lot horrifying, doesn't matter, it is your duty. You have to just close your eyes and do it. And in support of that, they give some other arguments. And then Adi Shankara, what does he have to say about that? Tat asat. That is not true. Jnana karma nishthayoho vibhaga vachanat buddhi dvaya ashrayayoho ashocyan ityadina भगवता यावत् स्वधर्ममपि चावेक्ष्य इति एतद् अन्तेन ग्रन्थेन यत् परमार्थ आत्मतत्त्वनिरूपणं कृतं तत् सांख्यं तद्विषया बुद्धिः. Okay, that is tat sankhya. Up till here we'll see. So he says, no, this is not true. Tad asat. What is asat? That you have to do karma all the time, or that the Bhagavan in the Bhagavad Gita, the main purport of the Bhagavad Gita is only action. This is not true. And why is it not true? Because if anybody has been paying close attention, Adi Shankara says that it is abundantly evident that two things are being talked about. Two kinds of attitudes. Buddhi here means attitude, nishtha. So two kinds of commitments, two kinds of lifestyle, two kinds of attitudes are being talked about. And the first one is called Sankhya Buddhi. The attitude of Sankhya, and Sankhya here not to be confused with the philosophy by the same name. Here it's a very ancient word, Sankhya. Samyak khyayate iti Sankhya, that which is understood properly, which is self-knowledge. Sankhya means self-knowledge here in the context of the Gita. It doesn't mean the Sankhya philosophy. So here, so first one that was talked about was what? Sankhya. Sankhya Buddhi Abhihita. So two buddhis, two kinds of attitudes have been talked about all the time by Bhagavan. One is how to graduate from high school, and the other one is how to get PhD. Are they opposed to each other? No. One becomes the medium for the other. And so someone who is wanting to, who doesn't even know how to spell school, they are wondering where to put the K. You don't tell them, you don't tell them how to get a PhD. You don't ask them to write a thesis, correct? Yeah. You tell them how to, you start with the alphabet. A for apple, B for bat, C for cat. That's where you have to start. And for someone else who has finished high school, who has finished college, and who is extremely brilliant, for them you can say, all right, here is how you can go forward with this. Who already completed all the things, you can tell them, this is where you go now. And sometimes they don't even have to finish college or there is one club or society called Mensa. Brainy prodigies. They're all sucking their thumbs with one hand and solving equations with the other. Tiny fellows, so small, 6, 7, 9, they all have PhDs already. And they are bored. You give them a toy car to play with, they don't know what to do with it. They are so bored. They are geniuses. And so that's why there is this Mensa club. You take them to meet other people, and so that, in between, the lollipop, they can solve some equation and do some brilliant things. So for that child, if you say that, sit in your pram, let's go for a walk, that's not going to work, correct? Because that child is at a different level. So here also, the two attitudes or lifestyles that are given by Bhagavan are for people at different levels. One set of people have not, as Adi Shankara is going to say maybe day after tomorrow, so have not let go of desires, are not prepared to let go of action, because what's the connection between desire and action? Desire causes action. So if you're not able to let go of the desire, you're not able to let go of the action. And for them to tell them, shut up, sit down and don't do anything is a heartless thing. And Bhagavan is not heartless. So Bhagavan is channeling the actions for it to be used as SAT test to prepare for this moksha, to prepare the mindset for moksha by purifying the desires, by purifying the actions and purifying the attitude by which the results are received. These are the three sources of purification. How do you purify the action? You say, it's not mine, Bhagavan, you take it. I told you, catch hold of Bhagavan and put it in his jhola. Jhola means whatever he is carrying. Put it in Bhagavan's pocket. It's you. I put it in your lap. It's no longer mine. I dedicate my action. I have done it. I have done the best I can. I let go. And then what? The results that come from whom? Not from your grandfather, from the same Bhagavan alone. Right? So I take that with the attitude of, this is prasada. Yeah. Because when you give out something, in Tirupati they give out these, laddus. They are the size of cannon balls. Yeah. And they are made of small, little round fried things. Fried chickpea flour. That is then dipped in some kind of sugar syrup. And then all that is, and then they put all kinds of nuts and raisins and make it into a big cannonball. And then what? And then they dip it in ghee for good measure so that it doesn't get spoiled. And then you keep it, you can give it as a legacy to your grandchildren. Nothing will happen. It's still as fresh as ever. Don't know what it is. And they put all these, what is that? They put camphor, then that lavanga. What is that? cloves, all these preservatives. So nothing happens. Yeah, for 2 generations I can guarantee. So, and then what, you offer this laddu, you bring one home. One is enough to feed the entire village because it's so big. And then you bring one home. Now they have reduced the size. Before it used to be like football size. And then you bring one home. And then you break off a piece and tell somebody this is prasad. You say, please take. And they will say, no, I have diabetes. I'm not going to do this. But then you tell them this is Tirupati Laddu. They transcend the calories, they transcend the ghee, they transcend the cholesterol. They become immediate Vedantins. They transcend the material and then they receive it as prasada. They say, don't give me so much, I'll take a little bit and then they'll just taste it. So this means this is the attitude that, it is prasada, it's not actually what it is. You transcend in your vision, you have transcended, everything to look at it as something that has come from Bhagavan for you to enjoy. And you start looking at the entire life as laddu. Yeah. Sometimes it's not laddu, sometimes it is kaddu. Yeah, kaddu means, just some tasteless cucumber. And, and sometimes it is not laddu, sometimes it is neem leaves that drop. Neem leaves are very bitter. But still, you take it it's a heartening habit to be able to see the mechanism of prasada in everything, an attitude of receptivity and acceptance, a glad acceptance. So this is for whom all this, dedicating the action, receiving the results is for whom? Is for people who are not yet in Mensa. Correct? Yeah. So this is what it is. So for them, Bhagavan is not going to be so heartless and say, give up all action. Yeah, what are they going to do, poor things? Bhagavan is not a sadist. Give up all action. And let me see you writhe, in agony and restlessness. No. You give up needless action and you subserve all action for the pursuit, to prepare yourself to pursue the knowledge. This is what is told. So then what? So this is what he is explaining right now. So tad asat, this is absolutely falsehood, he says. This is a bunch of lies, he says. Jnana karma nishthayoho vibhaga vachanat. Why is it a bunch of lies? The answer is always in the fifth case. Because there are 2 nishthas, 2 committed lifestyle. Jnana nishtha, a lifestyle of complete soul and singular pursuit of knowledge, and karma nishtha, a lifestyle of pursuing action but with a purified intention. Both of these nishthas, Bhagavat Vachanat, because they have been given by the same. Don't just keep quoting me the Lord's words. I too have read the Lord's words, and the Lord's words are not always about action, they are also about knowledge. So Bhagavat Vachanat, Buddhi Dvaya Ashrayayoho. And these Vachanam, Bhagavat Vachanani, these words of Bhagavan take refuge in 2 kinds of attitudes. Those words which have taken refuge in 2 kinds of attitudes, or in whom in those words are embodied 2 kinds of attitudes. So, Buddhi Dvaya, 2 kinds of buddhis. And what is the first buddhi? Ashocya nityadina bhagavata yavat swadharmamavi chavekshya iti etad antena granthena yat paramarthatva nirupanam kritam tat sankhyam. That buddhi, that nishtha, that commitment, that attitude is called Sankhya, which begins with verse number 11 in the 2nd chapter and ends with verse number 31. He doesn't say 31, but I am saying 31. Okay? Yeah. So from 11 to 31, chapter 2 is what is called Sankhya Buddhi, where the entire vision of the fruit of this knowledge, this Jnana Phalam, not Karma Phala, Jnana Phalam, what is the reason to study this? And what is this knowledge all about? and what is this knowledge that one has to gain is given. This is what Adi Shankara says. So starting with Ashocyan and then Swadharmam api cha aveksha iti etad antena granthena yat means which paramarthatva nirupanam. Nirupanam means ascertainment. Nirupanam kritam. Ascertainment was done of what? Paramartha Atma Tattva, of the truth of the Atma as the ultimate, as the absolute. So the Atma was ascertained, the truth of the Atma was ascertained to be that absolute Brahman, that absolute whole, limitless, complete in itself, unafflicted by the body, mind, sense complex, unaffected by anything that happens to any of these things. This is what was ascertained from 2 to 31, and this is this buddhi, this attitude, and this pursuit is called, this sole pursuit of this vision is called Sankhya Yoga or Sankhya Buddhi. Further, Tadvishaya Buddhi Atmanah Janmadi Shad Vikriya Bhavad Akarta Atma iti Prakarnartha Nirupanad Ya Jayate Sa Sankhya Buddhi Sa Yesham Jnaninam Uchita Bhavati Te Sankhyaha. So now he says that Tad Vishaya Buddhi, so this knowledge is called Sankhya. Tad Vishaya Buddhi, that the attitude connected with that, for which topic this of this knowledge, that attitude, Atmanah Shad Vikriya Abhavat Akarta Atma iti. So that attitude which ascertains the Atma as free of the 6 modifications, Janmadi, Janma, what else? Jayate, Asti, Vardhate, Viparinamate, Apakshiyate, Vinashyati. What am I saying?
6 modifications.
Yeah.
Born,
Yeah. Why am I saying them in Sanskrit? Because this is a Bhashya class. So, so this is what the whole thing is. So these 6 modifications, starting with birth and ending in death, and you can add the few in between, you know. Yeah, you can add whatever in between. These 2 are the bookends. So starting with birth and ending with death was talked about, and then the Atma was, you know, ascertained to be what? Akarta, non-doer. In essence, the Atma, the self, is what? Not a doer. The self is not a doer. Then who is the doer? You know, the self is an as though doer. Yeah, the self is an as though doer, and then what? You know, then the self is not an agent of action because of the absence of the 6-fold modifications connected to the self. It is free of the 6 kinds of changes. And so this conviction is called Sankhya Buddhi, Sankhya conviction. And who are the Sankhyas? Those people of knowledge, Yesham, those people of knowledge, those wise people to whom this conviction is a second nature. In fact, it is their first nature. Those are called Sankhyas, to whom this knowledge comes naturally upon being taught, and to whom they don't really need to do anything else. They just get up and go off into the Himalayas. You know, they don't even, you know, think about what to do. They just leave. They're done. You know, those are what is called Sankhyas, because the ones who thrive on this kind of an, you know, actionless life, because their mind is totally ready and to be committed to the teaching that the self is not an agent. Those are called Sankhyas. And then what about the rest of them? Rest of the people? Then he says, Etasyaha buddhehe janmanah prag atmanah dehadi vyatiriktatva kartru bhava uktatvat yad apekshah dharma viveka विवेकपूर्वकः मोक्षसाधन अनुष्ठाननिरूपणलक्षणः योगः तद्विषया बुद्धिः योगबुद्धिः सा येषां कर्मिणाम् उचिता ते भवति योगिनः. सो ते भवति उचिता भवति ते योगिनः भवन्ति. You have to add. So this is the thing, this teaching is twofold. The teaching is really one, but it is presented for two different kinds of people. The first one is for those who talk about knowledge and those who are completely with that conviction and for whom that conviction becomes their very nature. That is called Sankhya Buddhi, the ascertainment of knowledge as the only thing leading to liberation. That is called Sankhya Buddhi. But then what happens is that before the rise of this conviction, before Sankhya Buddhi becomes a reality in one's life, they need a committed lifestyle based on the discrimination of what is good, what is bad, what is right, what is wrong, what is correct, what is incorrect. In other words, based on the discrimination, dharma, he says, dharma and adharma, and which presupposes that, that the self is different from the body, mind, sense complex. They have to be gradually told. You are not the body, you are the indweller of the body, you are not the mind, you are the indweller of the mind, and then therefore you have an account, you are a jiva, and then this jiva has an account, and this account is filled with papa and punya, mostly the former, and then your whole life is to clear the papas by doing the correct things at the correct time, and then so that in the next life you have a better birth. This is all what is told. Because they are not worried about the liberation in the absolute sense, they are only thinking of the liberation in the relative sense. And so for them, this whole rubric of, dharma, adharma, virtue, and the lack thereof, all these things are just given as a model, as an interim model before the prak. Prak means before the rise of the preparation in terms of the mind being ready to accept that the self is not a doer. What do you have to do? You have to purify the doership. And to purify the doership, you have to make them understand the differences between dharma and adharma. Then you have to make them understand that the self is distinct from the body, mind, sense complex, because they don't know all this. And that which is committed to doing that buddhi is called yoga buddhi. So how many buddhis there are? Two buddhis. And then, so that you dedicate the agency and the enjoyership, kartrutva, bhoktritva, lakshana, you dedicate that to Bhagavan, and this conviction is called yoga buddhi. And the performers of the rites and the duties, for whom this conviction is, to whom this is more suitable, because they are not suited for the earlier one. They are not suited. They have to grow into letting go of everything, and they have to grow into inner maturity, and they have to grow in what is that called? Readiness, emotional maturity, cognitive viveka. What do I really want, and how do I go about getting it? They have to grow. So this is a little field that is prepared for them to stomp around and grow, and this is called yoga buddhi. And the people for whom this is appropriate are called yogis. So first we have Sankhyas, and then we have yogis. So this is basically what he says, and then he quotes, and that's why he says that, that's why he says, up till now I was talking about Sankhya, now I'm going to talk about yoga. When will he say that? Tomorrow. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय
पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते
ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरिः ॐ श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ